From the moment Prison Break began, we believed one thing with absolute certainty. Michael Scofield's tattoos were everything. They were the blueprint of Fox River, the key to every gate, every tunnel, every timing window. They were the sacred map that carried the weight of Lincoln's life. But what if this belief, the belief the entire audience accepted, was only the surface? What if the tattoos weren't the plan at all, but a grand illusion? A misdirection so powerful, so psychologically perfect, that it changed the narrative of the escape without anyone realizing it. Imagine this. Michael didn't need the tattoos. He needed everyone else to believe he needed them. The myth of the tattoos. Michael was a structural engineer, a man with a near photographic memory, someone who could internalize entire architectural systems down to pressure points and airflow patterns. The blueprints of Fox River weren't just diagrams to him, they were living maps that he could reconstruct from memory. Someone like Michael doesn't rely on tattoo ink to recall wall thickness or drainage tunnels. His mind is the blueprint. So what if the tattoos, instead of being essential, were actually a psychological weapon? They weren't placed on his body because he needed them. They were placed there to distract, to mislead, and to shape how others perceived him. The tattoos added mystery, obsession, vulnerability, but also purpose. The moment people saw the ink, they started making assumptions. Assumptions Michael could control. To inmates, the tattoos signaled he was different, someone who knew something. To guards, they made him look like a man with personal demons, not a man with a plan. To Sarah, they created an aura of quiet tragedy. To Teabag and Abruzzi, they made Michael look valuable. And when someone becomes valuable inside a prison, people start protecting them. The tattoos didn't reveal the plan. They created the narrative that allowed the plan to survive. The real plan inside Michael's mind. If we remove the tattoos from the equation, we're left with a terrifying possibility. Michael already had the entire escape memorized before he even stepped inside. Fox River, he didn't need ink to remember pipeline connections or guard rotations. His mind was the true master key. He knew every weak point in the prison's aging structure, every maintenance corridor the warden ignored, every opportunity created by a guard's laziness. That means the tattoos weren't the blueprint. The tattoos were the illusion of a blueprint. Michael used them strategically to become indispensable. Without the tattoos, he would look like any other inmate. With them, he became the center of the universe. Everyone who joined the escape Sucre, C-note Abruzzi, even Teabag did so because they believed Michael carried the key to salvation on his skin. If that belief shattered, the escape crew would fracture instantly. So the tattoos became a leash, a form of psychological loyalty. People didn't follow Michael because they trusted him. They followed him because they needed him. The tattoos as manipulation, not mapping. Think about how many times characters demanded access to the tattoos. Abruzzi wanted them for power. Teabag wanted to memorize them. Bellic wanted to understand what he was hiding. Every time someone tried to get closer, Michael regained control by reminding them that he alone understood the meaning of the tattoos, and that without him, they were nothing more than abstract designs. By believing the tattoos held the plan, everyone became dependent on Michael. They needed him awake. They needed him alive. They needed him to move forward. Even when danger grew, nobody could eliminate Michael, because eliminating him meant losing the entire escape. The tattoos were his shield, his armor, his insurance policy. Not because they contained the plan, but because they made others believe the plan couldn't exist without him. The danger if anyone learned the truth now. Imagine the chaos if someone realized the tattoos weren't truly necessary. Suddenly Michael isn't special, he's unpredictable. A man who doesn't need his body to escape is a man who can't be controlled, manipulated, or threatened. If Bellic or Kellerman discovered the truth, Michael would become too dangerous to keep alive. The entire escape and everyone involved in it depended on the illusion that the tattoos were essential. By pretending the plan was external, Michael kept suspicion low and expectations controlled. He hid genius behind ink, the tattoos, as the backup plan. There's also a darker possibility. What if the tattoos were never intended to be read? What if they were simply a backup plan, a physical archive that existed in case Michael couldn't continue? Imagine if he were injured, tortured, sedated, or even killed. The others could study the tattoos and carry on. This means the tattoos served as a failsafe, not the main engine of the escape. Michael's true weapon wasn't ink, it was his mind, and the tattoos were simply a safety net. What this reveals about Michael's psychology, if all of this is true, it completely changes Michael's character. He wasn't a desperate man relying on a tattoo sleeve to remember details. He was a mastermind who anticipated every weakness in human behavior, not just inside the prison walls, but inside the people around him. He controlled the environment by controlling perception. This version of Michael isn't just smart. He's unsettling, intimidating, almost mythic, because a man who plans an escape with tattoos is clever. But a man who doesn't need them, a man who only pretends he does, becomes something else. Someone operating at a level most cannot even understand. Final reflection: what if everything we believed was a lie? So what does it mean if the tattoos were never the real plan? It means Michael Scofield orchestrated not only the physical escape, but the psychological escape. He manipulated belief, desperation, hope, and fear. He created a story that everyone around him chose to believe. because believing in the tattoos meant believing in salvation, and maybe that was the point. The greatest escapes in history weren't carried by tools or maps, they were carried by belief. And Michael Scofield made an entire prison population believe in the legend of his tattoos, even if the truth was far more complex, far more brilliant, and far more dangerous, because maybe the tattoos weren't the plan at all. Maybe the tattoos were simply the myth that kept the real plan, the one inside Michael's mind, hidden from the world. And in the end, that makes Michael not just an escape artist, but a master of perception. A man who didn't just outsmart his captors, but outsmarted the audience watching him.